André Chikatilo was the definition of ordinary. He was the kind of person you'd pass on the street without a second glance. A husband, a father, a quiet worker, seemingly devoted to his family. He presented an image of domestic tranquility. He blended in perfectly with the gray landscape of Soviet society, never drawing attention to himself. A face in the sea of anonymity. Glasses, briefcase, a shy demeanor. He was just another face in the crowd, indistinguishable from the countless others going about their daily lives. Nothing about him screamed danger. Neighbors saw a family man, not a threat. This unremarkable exterior was his greatest disguise, a carefully constructed facade that hid the darkness within. By day, he was part of the system, a cog in the machine, performing his duties without raising suspicion. But by night, he was something else entirely, a creature driven by impulses that defied comprehension. No one suspected the darkness beneath his calm surface. He moved through life unnoticed, hiding in plain sight, a master of deception. The mask of normality let him get close to his victims. It's chilling to realize how evil can wear such an ordinary face, a face that inspires trust instead of fear. He was the man you'd ask for directions, the one you'd feel safe approaching in a strange city, the neighbor you'd borrow sugar from, the friendly face you'd see on your way to work. But when the sun set, a predator emerged from the shadows, shedding his disguise and revealing his true nature. He stalked the vulnerable, fueled by a rage no one saw coming. The contrast between his two lives was absolute, a terrifying duality that defied belief. His ordinariness was his weapon, earning trust, then betraying it in the most horrific way imaginable. He was a ghost among his future victims, unseen and unsuspected. No one knew the danger they were in, the monster lurking in their midst. This is the chilling reality of André Chikatilo, a man who defied all expectations. The most terrifying monsters are the ones who look just like everyone else, the ones who blend seamlessly into the fabric of society. And for years, no one saw the monster next door, the predator hiding in plain sight, waiting for his moment to strike. Chikatilo's crimes unfolded in the Soviet Union, a place where the state controlled everything, even the truth. The official line was that serial killers were a Western problem, not something that could happen in a communist society. This denial blinded the authorities. When people vanished, cases were treated as isolated incidents. The idea of a serial killer was unthinkable. Police departments didn't share information, and there was pressure to keep crime rates low. Admitting a killer was on the loose would have been a political disaster. So the problem was ignored. The silence created a fog of fear. Rumors spread, but no one knew the truth. Parents warned their children, but the threat felt unreal. Chikatilo thrived in this environment, moving unseen. He was a shadow the system refused to acknowledge, and so he was free to hunt. It started quietly, almost imperceptibly at first. A whisper of concern, a fleeting unease that something wasn't quite right. A missing child, a vanished young woman. Each disappearance a separate tragedy, seemingly unconnected. The authorities initially dismissed them as isolated incidents, the unfortunate realities of urban life. The first known murder that would later be attributed to this reign of terror was in 1978, 9-year-old Lena Zakotnova. A bright, innocent life extinguished far too soon. Her body was found in a river, a cold and desolate end. The investigation was hampered by a lack of resources and perhaps a lack of will. The case went unsolved, a dark stain on the community's conscience. No one realized it was just the beginning, the opening act in a drama of unimaginable horror. The silence surrounding Lena's death would soon be shattered by a chorus of similar tragedies. Over the years, more victims disappeared, their faces fading from posters, their stories slowly being forgotten by everyone except their loved ones. Children snatched from playgrounds and streets, their laughter silenced forever. Teenagers full of dreams and aspirations vanished without a trace, leaving behind only unanswered questions and broken hearts. Young women, their lives just beginning, were cruelly taken, their potential forever unrealized. Many were runaways or people on the margins of society, those whose absence might not be immediately noticed, last seen at bus stops or train stations, vulnerable and alone. Chikatilo, the monster lurking in the shadows, used these public spaces as his hunting grounds, preying on the vulnerable and exploiting the anonymity of the crowds. Fear grew in Rostov and beyond. A palpable sense of dread settled over the region, poisoning the atmosphere and casting a long shadow over everyday life. Woods and parks, once places of recreation and escape, became places of dread, whispered about in hushed tones, avoided after dark. Bodies were found in remote areas, often weeks or months after the disappearances, but details were kept from the public, fueling rumors and paranoia. The police, under immense pressure to solve the crimes, sometimes arrested the wrong people, desperate to close cases and appease the growing public outcry. Files on unsolved murders piled up, a testament to the killer's cunning and the system's failures, but the pattern went unnoticed, the connections missed. Chikatilo continued his normal life, working, traveling, and killing with impunity, a monster masquerading as an ordinary man. He was always one step ahead of the investigators, anticipating their moves, exploiting their weaknesses. The real killer was a phantom, a shadow, lurking in the periphery, hiding in plain sight, indistinguishable from the countless other faces in the crowd. The system's blindness, its bureaucratic inefficiencies and its inherent biases let him keep going, allowing the horror to continue unabated. And the disappearances continued, each one a fresh wound on a society already scarred by fear. The police launched a massive investigation, a sweeping operation they codenamed La Sopolosa, or Forest Strip. It was an all-out effort to bring the perpetrator to justice and restore peace of mind to the terrified populace. Thousands of officers were mobilized, fanning out across the region. They patrolled train stations, a key transit point, and meticulously questioned countless people, hoping to find a lead, a clue, anything that could point them in the right direction. They painstakingly tested blood types from crime scene evidence, meticulously analyzing every detail, no matter how small, in the hopes of finding a match, a connection that could break the case open. But Chikatilo's rare condition, a detail they overlooked, let him slip through the cracks. He was even tested during the investigation, and released, deemed not a threat, a devastating misjudgment. The investigation was severely hampered by flawed science, limited resources, and a profound lack of psychological insight into the mind of a serial killer. They were ill-equipped to understand the darkness they were facing. Police expected a monster, a depraved individual who fit a certain profile, not a quiet, seemingly ordinary married man. Chikatilo didn't fit their preconceived notions, their narrow definition of evil. When questioned, he seemed nervous, anxious, but not dangerous, not capable of the horrific acts they were investigating. This tragic mistake, this fatal miscalculation, let him go free to continue his reign of terror. The hunt dragged on, week after week, month after month, but the killer remained invisible, a phantom lurking in the shadows, eluding capture at every turn. Files grew thicker, filled with dead ends and unanswered questions. Pressure mounted on the investigators, but Chikatilo kept killing, adding to the growing list of victims, mocking their efforts. The people of Rostov lived in fear, gripped by terror, feeling powerless against the unseen evil that stalked their streets, turning their lives into a nightmare. The police had the killer in their grasp, close enough to touch but didn't see him for what he was, blinded by their own assumptions and biases. The darkness persisted, a suffocating blanket over the region. The system, burdened by its own limitations, was chasing a ghost, a figment of their flawed understanding. And the nightmare continued, unabated, casting a long shadow over the lives of countless people. Until a simple mistake, a seemingly insignificant error, changed everything, altering the course of the investigation. Chikatilo's method was chillingly simple. He exploited trust. He wasn't strong or intimidating. He used kindness as bait. At bus stops and train stations, he'd offer help, a treat, or a shortcut. He played roles: official, traveler, grandfather. His briefcase and glasses made him look harmless. He led victims away from crowds to secluded places. Then the mask dropped, violence erupted. The attacks were brutal, driven by rage. Investigators struggled to comprehend the contrast between his gentle lure and savage acts. For 12 years, he hunted in silence, using the Soviet system's pathways. He understood human vulnerability better than anyone. His success lay in not looking like a monster. He was the invisible predator. After 12 years, Chikatilo's downfall came from routine police work. In November 1990, a patrol officer spotted him emerging from the woods, agitated and with blood on his face. The officer searched his briefcase. Inside were a knife, rope, and Vaseline. Suspicious, but not conclusive. Chikatilo was arrested, but this time investigators had a new psychological profile. They realized the killer was likely an older, seemingly normal man. Chikatilo fit perfectly. He was held and interrogated for days, denying everything. The psychiatrist, Dr. Alexander Bukhanovsky, spoke to him as a patient, not a monster. He broke through Chikatilo's defenses, convincing him that confession was the only way to find peace. After 10 days, Chikatilo finally confessed. The quiet man who hid for so long began to speak. What he revealed was more horrific than anyone imagined. The mask was off. The truth was out. Chikatilo's confession was a flood. He listed murders in chilling detail. He remembered names, places, and brutal acts, leading police to unknown crime scenes. He confessed to 56 murders, far more than suspected. He spoke flatly, showing no remorse. For him, the killings were a release from unbearable pressure. He blamed his nature, his childhood, even the Soviet system. Investigators struggled to grasp his twisted psychology. The confession was a breakthrough, but also a nightmare to hear. After years of invisibility, Chikatilo relished the attention. The monster had finally revealed himself. Chikatilo's trial began in April 1992 in Rostov. The courtroom was packed, families, journalists, the public. For security, he was kept in an iron cage. The evidence was overwhelming: confessions, physical proof, police testimony. The trial was a spectacle, the state's way of showing justice. Chikatilo's behavior was erratic: outbursts, insults, bizarre antics. Sometimes he sat calmly, as if bored. Was it madness or performance? No one knew. The families endured the horror of hearing the charges. The verdict was never in doubt. In October 1992, he was found guilty of 52 murders and sentenced to death. The courtroom erupted in applause. Chikatilo showed no remorse, only contempt. The trial ended, but the scars remained. Justice was served, but healing would take much longer. On death row, Chikatilo appealed, but all were denied. He claimed to be a victim of society, never showing real remorse. In February 1994, he was executed with a single shot to the head. His final words were clinical: "My brain should be studied so it doesn't happen again." Even at the end, he focused only on himself. Chikatilo's story is a chilling reminder. Evil can hide behind the most ordinary faces. He exploited trust and the system's blindness to become one of history's most prolific killers. The Soviet denial gave him time to flourish in the shadows. His case is a dark lesson in how society's blindness lets monsters hide, and it leaves us wondering who else might be hiding in plain sight.